Welcome to E-commerce Psychology, the deep dive that unpacks what really drives online shoppers. This deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free. Today we're diving into something really interesting, the Pygmalion Effect.
Ah, yes. The sculptor myth.
Exactly. Pygmalion, the Greek myth, his statue coming to life because he believed in it so much. But in psychology, it's this idea that, well, high expectations can actually make performance better.
It's a powerful concept. And the big question for us today is, how does that ancient idea, play out in the aisles of an online store?
Right. Because it feels intuitive, maybe, but the serious study kicked off much later, didn't it, with that classroom study?
Yeah, Rosenthal and Jacobson, 1968. Pygmalion in the classroom. That study was pretty groundbreaking. It showed that what teachers believed about their students could genuinely impact how well those students did academically.
Which is fascinating. So we want to explore if that same dynamic works between, say, an e-commerce brand and its customers. Can believing in your audience actually, move the needle?
That's exactly the mission for this deep dive. We're asking,
Hmm.
if you, as an online business, truly believe your customers are smart, capable, ready for quality or complexity, can that belief circle back and actually boost your sales, your loyalty?
Does faith in your customers become a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy online? That's what we want to unpack.
And there's a lot to unpack, really. We'll need to properly define it, look at the psychology behind it.
Yeah, how it fits into modern marketing, customer relationships, the nitty-gritty psychological stuff too, like perception, behavior, emotions.
Right, and how it hits the customer's own self-image, their decisions. Oh, and cultural differences, that's important too.
Definitely. Then we'll get practical.
Right.
How to use it in marketing, in sales, how to measure if it's, actually working.
We'll touch on ethics, where things might be heading.
Yeah.
And maybe a quick guide on how you could start thinking about this for your own business.
And we're grounding this discussion in Mohammed Tufekcioglu's article, The Pygmalion Effect, How Expectations Shape Customer Behavior, E-commerce Psychology.
Our aim here is really to give you some concrete takeaways. How can you connect deeper? Can setting positive expectations genuinely lift conversions and build that lasting loyalty? Let's find out.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Defining this thing, the Pygmalion Effect.
At its heart, it's simple. High expectations improve performance. The name, as you said, comes from that Greek myth.
Yeah.
Pygmalion believed so hard his statue became real. It's a great metaphor.
It is, and it clearly struck a chord with researchers.
It did. That Rosenthal-Jacobson study gave it legs in the real world, showing teacher expectations weren't just like passive thoughts. They had tangible effects. And we're seeing now it's not just schools or workplaces. It matters in business, too.
Absolutely. It's about how we, as e-commerce players, see our customers. If we genuinely believe in them and we show it, well, it could actually help them become better customers, more engaged.
You're essentially setting the stage, creating a positive environment. When you signal high expectations, it can lift both your team and your customers. They feel more capable. Which brings us to the psychology underneath it all.
So fundamentally, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? We expend something, we act in ways that encourage it, and then, well, it happens.
Exactly. But it's not magic. There are real cognitive and emotional gears turning.
Mm-hmm.
Cognitively, if someone feels you expect them to do well, they tend to pay more attention, maybe try a bit harder.
Makes sense.
And emotionally, feeling believed in, that's a huge confidence booster. It really fuels motivation.
And wasn't there something about brain chemistry, too? Dopamine?
Potentially, yes.
Hmm?
Some research suggests that trust, that feeling of positive expectation, might trigger dopamine release. Dopamine's linked to reward, pleasure. So it could reinforce that positive cycle of trying harder and succeeding.
Wow. So it could have a biological echo.
It's plausible. And it helps to quickly contrast it with a couple of other things. There's the golem effect. It's the dark side, where low expectations drag performance down.
Right. The opposite.
And then the Hawthorne effect, where people change behavior just because they know they're being watched.
Mm-hmm.
All related. But Pygmalion is specifically about the power of high expectations.
Okay. Got the basics, the psych background. How does this translate to, everyday modern marketing, building those customer relationships online?
Well, think about today's consumer. They're savvy, they have tons of options, and they generally respond really well when a brand acknowledges that. When a brand implies, we see you're smart, or you're part of a discerning group.
It's like being seen, being understood, not just as a wallet.
Precisely. It's respect. And when you communicate that respect, that belief in their judgment or taste, They often lean in. They might engage more, feel better about their choices, maybe become more loyal.
So it's not just fluff. It can actually drive results, better conversions, standing out from the crowd, keeping customers longer.
Absolutely. It's about setting that bar high, expectation-wise, for what they could experience or achieve with you.
Okay, digging deeper now. The mechanisms. How exactly do these expectations mess with, well, perception, behavior, feelings?
Right. Let's break it down. First, perception. Confirmation bias is huge here. If a customer thinks a brand sees them as, say, tech-savvy, they'll look for evidence that confirms it. They might see complex product specs as proof of quality, something a savvy person would appreciate.
So they actively seek validation for the positive label the brand gave them.
You got it. Then there's selective attention. People tend to zoom in on messages that match those high expectations. If the brand story is you're making a smart investment, a customer might unconsciously ignore a few bad reviews because it clashes with that smart investor self-image the brand is nurturing.
Filtering out the cognitive dissonance, basically.
Pretty much. And finally, cognitive consistency. People like their actions to match their beliefs, right? So if a brand labels them innovative, they might be more motivated to actually buy the innovative product to keep that self-perception consistent. It feels good to live up to the positive image.
Okay, perception tweaked. How does that change what they do, their behavior?
This is where they start internalizing those beliefs. If your messaging is like, we know you'll master these advanced features, or you got the eye for this level of detail, customers are, well, more likely to actually try those features, to spend time digging into the details.
They rise to the occasion you've implicitly set for them.
Exactly. And that can lead to a real shift in their self-concept over time. They might genuinely start seeing themselves as more competent in that area, which leads to more confident decisions later. For the business, that means more engagement, maybe higher sales, better retention.
That's a powerful feedback loop. What about the emotional side? How does it feel for the customer?
Oh, the emotions are key for loyalty. First, trust. When a brand shows positive expectations, it signals respect. That builds trust like nobody's business. You feel like they get you, they value you.
Yeah, feeling believed in definitely builds a connection.
For sure. Second, less anxiety. Making choices can be stressful, right? Fear of missing out, fear of making a mistake. But if you feel the brand trusts your judgment, that acts like a buffer. You feel more secure in your choice.
The brand's confidence in you becomes your confidence.
In a way, yes. And finally, motivation. Feeling valued, seen as capable. That's exciting. It makes you want to engage more with the product, with the brand. It lights a fire, boosts commitment.
Okay, mechanisms covered. Let's zoom in on the customer's inner world now. How does this Pygmalion thing play out in their self-perception when they interact with a brand?
Right. This is about how brand messages can actually start shaping how customers see themselves. Consistent messaging, like built for innovators like you, isn't just marketing fluff. Over time, some customers might actually start thinking, yeah, I am an innovator. They align their self-image with the brand's projection.
They start wearing the identity the brand offers them.
Pretty much. And if they start believing the brand sees them as, say, sophisticated or adventurous, they might invest more time, money to sort of prove it, to live up to that image. It becomes about identity affirmation, not just buying stuff.
The purchase reinforces who they want to be or who the brand tells them they are.
Exactly. And think about brands that encourage learning tutorials, advanced settings, communities. They're implicitly saying, we believe you can handle this, you can grow with this. That boosts product confidence, sure, but it also builds real affection for the brand that empowered them.
It's a virtuous cycle of empowerment and brand love. How does this affect the actual click-to-buy moment, the decision-making?
When customers feel that implicit trust from the brand, we trust you to choose well, they just approach the purchase with more confidence. The perceived risk goes down. It feels safer because the brand's high expectation acts like a subtle endorsement of their own judgment.
Interesting.
It creates this nice flow. Brand sets a trusting tone. Customer invests psychologically, feels good about the decision, less post-purchase regret.
It's like they don't want to let the brand down in a weird way. Or maybe let themselves down given the positive framing.
That's a great way to put it. There's a subtle pressure to live up to the expectation. Now, of course, how people react isn't universal. Culture plays a role here, too.
Ah, right. The cross-cultural variations. How does that work?
Well, generally speaking, in more collectivist cultures where group harmony and respect for authority or the group's view is often higher, people might respond more strongly to expectations framed around the group or coming from a respected brand seen as an authority. Join discerning members like you or trusted by your community.
So fitting in, meeting the group's standard is more motivating, perhaps.
Potentially, yes. Whereas in more individualistic cultures, the focus might be more on personal achievement. So messages like unlock your potential or master this challenge, highlighting individual success, might resonate more.
Tailoring the "we believe in you" message to cultural values.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, you have to be really careful here. Clumsy or stereotypical attempts to apply this across cultures can backfire badly.
Huh.
Authenticity and sensitivity are crucial. You can't just paint by numbers.
A blanket approach is risky. Got it. Nuance is key.
Absolutely critical for doing this respectfully and effectively.
Okay, we've got the theory, the psychology, the customer impact. Let's shift gears to implementation. How do e-commerce businesses actually put this into practice in their marketing?
Right, the practical side. First up is your basic brand communication, the language you use everywhere. Think supportive, empowering phrases. We know you'll master this. Perfect for ambitious creators. For those who demand the best. It subtly signals belief.
Framing the product as enabling their potential, not highlighting potential struggles.
Precisely. And visuals matter too. Show confident, capable people using your product successfully. Reinforce that expectation visually. And tone, keep it consistent and positive across your website, email, social media, everywhere. Dissonance kills the effect.
Consistency builds believability. Makes sense. What about the customer journey itself?
Design expectations into the journey. Pre-purchase, maybe headlines like, "You deserve the best, find it here," implying they have high standards and can recognize quality.
And during the purchase?
Keep the checkout smooth, respectful. Avoid talking down to them with overly basic instructions. A clean process implies you trust their competence.
And after they buy?
Reinforce. Post-purchase messages like, "Great choice. You're on your way to achieving goal. We're here to support you." It validates their decision, strengthens the positive feeling.
It's a continuous thread of belief, start to finish.
Exactly. And leverage digital and social. Encourage user-generated content customers showing their success. That's powerful social proof. Share customer success stories. Build communities, forums, groups where users can connect and implicitly reinforce that shared high expectation. Everywhere the message is, "You're capable, we believe in you."
That's a solid marketing framework. What about the more direct human interactions, sales and customer service?
Crucial touch points. For sales, it starts with training your reps. Get them to see prospects not just as leads, but as knowledgeable buyers. Change the language. Instead of over-explaining, try, "Given your expertise in X, you'll likely appreciate Y feature."
That subtle shift signals respect immediately.
It does. And nonverbals count.
Yeah.
Eye contact, enthusiastic tone. Statements like, "You clearly know what you're looking for," affirm their competence. In B2B, showing data on potential ROI boosts their confidence in making a big strategic decision.
Treating them like partners, not just prospects. What about customer service? That can be a tricky one.
It can, but it's a huge opportunity. Start interactions assuming competence. "Okay, looks like you've almost got it. Let's just figure out this last bit." Or, "Thanks for gathering that info. That really helps." It frames them as proactive problem solvers.
Empowering them even when they need help.
Right. Even with complaints, frame it collaboratively. "Let's work together to figure this out." It makes them feel respected and capable, not just someone with a problem.
Okay, this sounds great, but you mentioned authenticity earlier. How do you get your team to genuinely believe this stuff, not just fake it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It has to be real. Training needs to focus on fostering a genuine perspective shift, seeing customers and colleagues as having potential. It's culture building, not just script memorization. Fake positivity is easy to spot.
So it's about mindset over scripts.
Absolutely. And then you track it. Look at CSAT scores, sales metrics, retention after implementing this approach. Share successes internally. Provide ongoing coaching, role-playing, feedback. Refine the understanding. Reinforce the authentic belief.
Okay, theory, practice. Let's see it in action. Any examples or case studies of this working in the wild?
Sure, think high-end retail. Staff are often trained to treat everyone as a discerning buyer, subtly assuming sophisticated taste. That often leads to higher sales.
Ah, I can picture that.
Online fashion sites using messages like, "We know you'll style this perfectly." Tap into that creative confidence. Software onboarding that skips the baby steps and treats users as savvy professionals often sees quicker adoption.
Setting an aspirational bar.
Exactly. In services, financial advisors saying, "Given your grasp of the market, build trust for more advanced strategies." Doctors empowering patients to co-manage their health often see better adherence. Upscale hotels, assuming refined guest preferences, deliver more personalized, satisfying stays.
It seems applicable across many different fields, B2B too.
Definitely. Approaching B2B clients with belief in their vision, we see your ambitious goals, can improve proposal success rates. Strong B2B partnerships thrive on that mutual trust and capability assumption. Data suggests it can even shorten sales cycles when the buyer feels respected as a strategic thinker.
It really boils down to respect and belief, fostering better outcomes together.
It does. So if a business implements this, how do they know if it's actually working? Measuring the impact is key, right?
Absolutely. You need to know if the effort is paying off.
Okay, quantitatively, you look at the hard numbers. Conversion rates, are they up after you changed your messaging? Customer lifetime value, are these empowered customers sticking around longer, buying more?
The bottom line stuff.
Right. And engagement metrics, email opens, time on site, social interactions, are people leaning in more?
So clear behavioral indicators, but numbers aren't everything.
Exactly. Qualitative insights are vital. Talking to your customers, surveys, interviews. How do the brand communication feel? Do they feel respected, confident? Focus groups can compare reactions to old versus new messaging. What resonates emotionally? Brand perception studies check your image in the wider market.
Getting the why behind the numbers.
Precisely. Then you tie it all together with ROI. Weigh the cost, training, new content against the gained revenue, retention, and don't forget the intangibles. Reputation, word of mouth, advocacy. A brand known for empowering customers builds serious long-term value.
Okay, this paints a compelling picture, but are there potential downsides? Ethical considerations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to address them. The biggest is authenticity versus manipulation. If the belief isn't genuine, customers will likely sense it, and it becomes manipulative, damaging trust. You can't just fake confidence in people.
It has to come from a real place.
Yes. And there's a risk of overpromising. If you set expectations too high, suggesting product capabilities or personal outcomes that aren't realistic, you set customers up for disappointment and backlash.
Managing expectations realistically is still important.
Definitely. Then there are diversity and inclusion considerations. How do different groups respond? Are your high expectation messages subtly biased? Does your imagery represent all your customers as capable and valued? You need to be mindful of avoiding stereotypes and ensuring inclusivity.
Making sure everyone feels seen and believed in, not just certain groups.
Exactly. And think about potential negative outcomes. Can setting very high expectations lead to customer burnout or anxiety if they feel they can't live up to them? What happens if the promised advanced features are buggy, or the support doesn't match the "we believe in you" message? You need robust support systems to back up the positive framing.
So authenticity, realistic promises, inclusivity, and strong support are the guardrails.
Well put. They're essential for doing this ethically and effectively.
Looking ahead now, how might this evolve? Future trends.
Technology will likely play a bigger role. Think AI-driven personalization, tailoring the level and type of expectation messaging based on individual customer data and responses. Using analytics to see what kinds of supportive language work best for different segments.
More granular expectation setting.
Potentially. And integration with emerging tech. Imagine AR experiences that offer subtle, encouraging guidance as you explore a product, reinforcing your ability to figure it out. Or voice assistants using tone to convey belief in your competence.
Interesting possibilities. What about customer attitudes? Will they become wise to this?
That's likely. Consumer awareness of psychological techniques is growing. This means transparency and genuine respect become even more important. It can't feel like a trick. The focus needs to shift further towards genuinely fostering customer growth and capability, not just manipulative hype.
So the bar for authenticity keeps rising.
It does. Success will depend on truly valuing and empowering the customer.
Okay, last big piece. For a business listening right now wanting to explore this, how do they start? An implementation guide, maybe?
Yeah, a roadmap. First, assess your readiness. Look at your current communications. What expectations are you already sending, maybe unintentionally? Where are the gaps in staff training or systems? Check what competitors are doing. Find your unique angle for conveying belief.
Know where you stand before you leap.
Exactly. Yeah. Then create a strategic roadmap. Don't try to change everything overnight. Pilot programs are good. Test it with a segment or on one channel. Invest in that training and culture shift we talked about. Get genuine buy-in. And crucially, set up metrics to measure progress and adapt based on what you learn, especially across different customer groups.
Start small, train well, measure, adapt.
That's the core loop. And for the long haul, sustainability is key. Keep reinforcing that authentic belief through ongoing training and feedback loops. Stay flexible. Your products change, your audience changes, so your approach might need tweaking. And keep documenting successes with data to reinforce the value internally.
It's an ongoing commitment, not a one-off campaign.
Precisely. It's about weaving it into the fabric of how you interact with customers.
Wow, okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from Greek myths to AI personalization.
We have. The core takeaway, really, is that how you see and communicate with your customers matters profoundly. Strategically, genuinely conveying high expectations can shape their behavior, their self-view, and ultimately their loyalty to your brand.
But always with that crucial emphasis on authenticity and ethics. It's about empowerment, not manipulation.
Couldn't agree more. This deep dive was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. What's one small shift you could make in your messaging right now to signal to your customers that you truly believe in their ability to succeed with your products?
And what ripple effect might that single shift have, not just on your business, but on their confidence too?
Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on E-commerce Psychology.